school piece in 6 hours. We rehearsed Thursday and Friday of last week to put this together for you. So
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and let you know that there's 2 rough spots in it. You'll see where they are when we get there. But we're going to play really well. We're going to play really well. We're going to have a good time, right?
Yes.
Okay. We're also missing a few percussion parts. It takes about 7 percussionists to pull this off. So just be aware that some of the percussion parts you might have. And we're on the second movement as well, not the first movement. Second movement. Yep, bell.
Before you start, can you explain why you selected this piece of music?
Well, when I had my high school band, we performed this like 2 years ago. So most of my high school band had played it before, and I was trying to find some pieces that it wouldn't take us that long to put together. And it's also just a really unique piece. It's about Cajun folk songs, obviously about southern Louisiana, and the composer went and spent some time down there meeting with locals in the area, and just fell in love with their unique style of music, their unique accent pattern, and things of that nature, and then he decided to write a piece about it. This one became so popular that he actually wrote a second one, it was a Cajun Folk Songs 2, which is a little more difficult, actually. And just so you're aware, if you'll notice, the piece is in 5/4 time. But the accent pattern is not in 5/4. So it's not da 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 da. So I'm conducting the actual accent pattern. I'm conducting a 6/8-2/4. Da 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 da. So you'll notice I change meters quite a bit. But anyway, this is 6 hours of rehearsal. So I hope you enjoy. Okay, second. And I'm mad that they had to spend 10 minutes telling me about posture. Do you understand that? Yeah. We talk about posture a lot too.
I'm sure you do.
It's the summertime, so.
Mr. Umkluf, I really, congratulate you on that challenging piece of music. I'm not sure anybody's real eager to get up and follow you. Because, you know, I would say to the band that, look what you're capable of. You know, he's raising your whole level up a notch or 10 by doing a piece of music like that. And it takes a lot of brains and a lot of intellect to get to your fingers to be able to play it as well as you are right now. And I can't say thank you enough for, you know, our intention was not that you would put together anything special as far as rehearsals for us, because my observation on international schools programs is that they're struggling with at least as much as you are, if not more, with instrumentation, with literature.
Finding instruments for your children, I'm sure it's a big deal.
Moving, I mean, every time we get a kid, they're gone the next year.
Yeah, and in some cases, it's the best of times and the worst of times. I've been in some of these schools where they're sitting with brand new instruments from top to bottom, but they don't have players to play them.
Right.
You know, and wouldn't that be nice if you could just completely revamp all of your school instruments like that? And but anyway, what is your pleasure, teachers?
Yeah, questions for me, I'm more than happy to do
Yeah.
question and answer for, yeah, absolutely.
I want to know, one of the major things about this piece, the tonality is not so difficult, it's the rhythm, obviously, and all the changing key, time signatures. So what, do you have a special technique, or how do you, I always separate rhythm in a piece like this. I would work on rhythm alone and then apply the melody to it. So do you have any special techniques that you use just to count, clap and count rhythm and such like that through?
Absolutely. Wonderful question. So when we will be preparing this would be for a festival performance where we go and sit in front of adjudicators, okay? And then they give us a score, you know, superior, excellent, and all those things. So generally, we've got about 2.5 months to prepare a piece like this. And if it was my high school band, you see 22 kids here today, I think. My high school band alone is about 62, 63, okay? My middle school bands, my 7th and 8th grade combined band, how big were we this year? 65? Just 7th and 8th grade, and I had 62, 63 6th graders. And I'm kind of in charge of just looking at myself and teaching the whole county, 5 different schools is kind of what we work with. So, again, the idea was, and we had to pick the music way ahead of time, the idea was for that at least 40 of those high school kids to be sitting before you today, and we would have heard something a lot different. And these guys, especially the middle schoolers, worked really, really hard the past few days to put this together. So what we would do is in a normal warm-up day is, how long on average do you guys get to rehearse a week, let's say? How many of you is less than 5 hours you get to see your children with? Less than 5 hours, so that's less than an hour a day. Okay, how many of you is between 5 hours and 7.5 hours that you get to see a week? How many of you get more than 7.5 hours? Okay, so not very many. We get, how much do we get, an hour and a half a day at the high school, and we get an hour a day at the middle schools. We're very, very lucky here. There are not very many people that get this much time, especially with their middle school groups. I know a lot of groups that see every other day for 45 minutes. That's common for this area. So we would take that hour and a half rehearsal, and the first 45 minutes, we never do less than half of our period for warm-up and technique exercises. So during that time, I would pick a rhythm that they're struggling with in the piece. So, ba, 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 would be what we warm up on our scale with. So, can we try that right now? And so when we count things like this, okay, we have a marker. There's multiple ways to count this, and I don't know how you guys do your counting system, but I'll show you ours. And this is a fairly common one. So 5, 4, we can look at it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not right here. Sorry, pulling that out of my head right now instead of on the piece of paper. Tied here, accent, accent. Okay? So if we're in 5/4, okay, how are we gonna count this? Go, Mara. This is your first rhythm.
1 and 2 and 3.
There's a 3? No.
Well, it's held over.
But that's not a 3, so what is this? Good?
4, 5.
Very good. 1 and 2 and 4, 5 is how we would count that. Okay? Can we all count that, please? Band, 1, 2, ready, go.
1 and 2 and 4, 5.
More articulate, please. 2, ready, and.
1 and 2 and 4, 5.
Now, is that what we're playing? What am I conducting? No. So what I'm conducting is here's a beat, here's a beat, here's a beat, and here's a beat. Does that make sense? The 6/8 plus 2/4 is the time signature that we're in. Very good. Okay? Okay? That's not how we wrote it because that's a pain to look at on a piece of paper, isn't it? But that's how we analyze it when we go through it. Okay? So we're actually conducting, how do we count triplets, Dan? 1 lolly, 2 lolly. Okay? 1 la, li. This accented note is going to be beat 2 now instead of the and. It doesn't make sense for the accent to be on the and, so we're going to put that on beat 2. Okay? And then we tie these together so we have a li left over, and then 3, 4. So we're in a regular 4-beat pattern. 1 la, li, 2, li, 3, 4. Count. 1, 2, ready, and.
1 la, li, 2, li, 3, 4.
Good. Now play that rhythm on a B flat major scale. Okay? And 1, 2, ready. I would ask you, is that right? Right rhythm. What is it wrong? Everything else, right? Yes. Okay. So this is our time in warm-up. We're not even looking at the piece of music where I'm going to start talking about accents. Okay? And then I'm going to start talking about how I really want these notes articulated. Okay? Do I want them short? Do I want them long? Da 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 da. Okay? I want them accented kind of. Okay? So can we now sing that, please, the way we're going to play it? Accents, which means, are we really going to bring these out more, or are we going to bring these less, man? What are we going to do? These are going to be less, okay, to bring out the accents. Can we sing it, please, on ta 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 ta? 1, 2, ready, and. Ta 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 ta. You're not together. Here we go again. 1, 2, ready, and. Ta 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 ta. Good. Now play. Make sure we can hear the accents. Okay, not that you're playing, make sure we can hear them. 1, 2, ready. Okay, now what they're doing, you having trouble hearing these notes? Yes, I am. Okay, and it's because they're putting so much air into this, they're not supporting these notes. Make sense? Go on. You still have to support these notes. Do it again. Here we go. And 1, 2, ready, and. Improvement? Good, now go to 37. Here we go. And isn't that right? Yeah, here we go. And 1, 2, ready. 38. Is that it?
Yeah.
No, that's not. Sorry. 31. Low brass. Here we go. 31. Everybody's in there. Okay, so now we're going to check that the low brass understands this, what we just did with the accents and all. Should go 1, 2, ready. Good. Did y'all hear the difference in sound just from when we performed it before? And that's because we didn't have time these past 2 days to work on stuff like this. I was just trying to beat the notes into them. And then the next part, if you notice, is in 3/4, right? Okay, but is it really in 3/4? No, it's in 6/8. Okay? Same thing. So now we're just taking off the 4/5 here. Okay? And now I want you to play that the same way you did with your accents. Starting right there at the 3/4 bar at 31. Everybody see where we are, man? Do the accents. 1, 2, ready. Good. So I think the moving parts can do the accents. it may be a completely different piece, and I pick a completely different rhythm. And some days it may not even be rhythm exercises. This piece, obviously, it is. So we would spend time working on warm-up things. Other days, if we were working on the hymn song of Philip Bliss, I would spend the whole day warming up in D-flat major and playing not fast stuff, but playing chorales in D-flat major. And we have multiple warm-up books we use for different chorales, for different scale exercises, and all kinds of that stuff. We don't have any of those with us because we checked it in for the summertime. Okay, but very good question. Did that help?
Yeah, thanks. No, it's really interesting.
Okay, yes.
Well, two questions. You said that some of the young people just finished their first year.
First year band. Yes.
Okay, of band, and they start in sixth grade.
Sixth grade.
So, do you teach the sixth grade class?
I teach sixth graders as well.
And you do have the same amount of periods a week, like you said, 5?
Yes.
So, okay, the thing is this, at my school, there was this idea that kids had to go through everything, so they could decide. And it is okay, but it has its flaws, right? So my question, maybe somebody from the bank can answer this, is how do you determine who's going to go to band, who's going to go to choir, who's going to go to string orchestra, who's going to go where? Because we are in the middle of
So you
reviewing
basically,
that idea.
you go through a rotation. So everybody goes through band, chorus, art every year in sixth grade or whenever they start. Is that what you're saying? And then they get to pick after that?
Well, in my case, they stay one semester in band and then they switch to choir.
Gotcha.
And they get to pick in seventh
And
grade.
then they get to pick until 7th grade. So I'm actually starting the band in 7th grade.
Gotcha. So what we do in our county is there is band, chorus, art, computers, and peer things. All right? Yeah, that happens at every school, every day for 6th through 8th grade. They have 5 choices. Yeah, that's me. So that point they did that. So at the end of 5th grade, every student in the whole county comes to my gym every 5th grade. They bring every one of them, whether they're interested in band or not. And my high school band puts on a concert of like The Lion King and Aladdin and cool music that they recognize and know. Of course, that's a plot by me to get them in band. Yeah, absolutely. So, and then that's like literally 3 days before the end of school. And then I hand them all the information about how to get an instrument, which instrument to try, and all those things. Band is the only one in 6th grade that they come to every day. I'm very lucky that my principals appreciate band. So, and here's the difference. Here's the difference, and that is, if they sign up for band, they sign up for band all year. If they're not in band, they go through the rotation, so they get to do everything. And then in 7th grade, they have the option to pick what they want to do. So it's either band or rotation in 6th grade, because I made them understand that I can't do anything in a semester. All right, we can't put on a spring concert if I don't have a band from January to May.
And the other question is, the first time I started working at an international school, which is one that has an American curriculum, I was told, oh, but in the United States, they have group teaching, so you have flutes, clarinets, and trumpet at the same time. I'm like, they must be crazy in the United States. That was my first thought, how you're going to have all of the instruments. But with the time I learned how to overcome that, and now I think
You do mix,
capable of doing it.
band, don't you?
I have every kid in the class at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
So, I mean, we have some that do that, but, sometimes I wonder why.
yeah.
Because you can teach multiple instruments all at the same time, they learn how to be a band.
Right, and it goes slow at the beginning when you have
Sure.
everybody to start. So like, it takes you a week to say, okay, this is how you take your instrument out and put it together. And then you have to go around and make sure everybody's making good embouchures and all those things. And then, you start making, okay, let's make a sound as a band for the first time, and then you put in the earplugs, So, and stuff like that. But it does come together, and I like it that way. I would much rather have it that way.
Can I ask you a technical question just for a minute? Because I look at this piece. If you've looked at this piece, and I don't mean anything other than my heart, and that is that this is not a difficult piece. Okay? As a matter of fact, it sounds much more difficult than it is. All right? But you must have an expert conductor, or you're going to fall apart over there. okay? You have to have a comfortable dependence that he's gonna guide you through it, which he is. Because, I'm a little hesitant to get up there, right now, because I don't know the piece that well. I can do sections of it, but the fact that he has done this in 3-6-8 and 2-4 makes absolute sense. Why? Because then he can guide them through this piece, okay? Because it would be real interesting to have each one of us have the time, the pleasure or not pleasure of getting up there and waving our hands on this piece. You better know what you want when you get up there before you ever teach it the first time, or you're gonna be guiding them to disaster rather than guiding them to success, which is what maybe Jamie will attest. I hate to keep going, Jamie, but she just got out of my factory and graduated me, and I tell them all the time, you cannot know your music well enough when you go in to teach the very first time that piece, okay? Because if you don't have an aural sense of what it's going to go like, I don't care whether it's choir, band, orchestra, elementary, preschool, you're planning for disaster. You know, even if it's come to Jesus in whole notes in 4/4 time, you still have to have it in your mind what you want. And what he did was a masterful job. I mean, imagine doing this in 2 rehearsals and coming in here in front of a crowd and just exposing yourself to this, right? But his conducting is what guided him through it. Am I right, fan? You're not sitting there counting a whole lot, which you should be, but you're not sitting there counting a whole lot because you know he's got the conducting chops to drive you to guide you through it, right? I mean, if we just gave you a downbeat and said, go on your own, I'm going to stand over at the side, it'd be disaster, right? And now the question I was going to ask you is when it gets to the 3/4 where you've got the extra beat on the second, you know, rest, what was your technique to do that other than just knowing how to conduct it? Because whenever they do something different, they go da 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 dee da 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 dee da da dee da da, and all of a sudden da 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 dee da 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 rest da 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 dee. What was your?
So we're looking at 37 now, if you're in the sheet. So if you look at 38, and y'all can look at my music, as I've got triangles and dashes marked above. So triangles mean I'm going to conduct for 3 beats per, and the dashes mean that I'm going in 8 notes. So this would be a triangle here, triangle, dash, dash.
Right.
So that I can kind of guide myself through. And that's what I'm doing when I'm doing my school study. So basically, 39 would not work as a triangle, because there's 3 quarter notes in the measure. So, like you said, to guide them through that the right way, I want to make sure that I'm giving them 1, 2, 3. But in measure 38, I want this accent to come out. So I want them to see that in my conducting. Ba 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 da 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 da. So it's just really about, you know, listening to the piece, knowing the piece well enough to where I want to do that. And there's sometimes to keep tempo. And I'll give you a good example. That I'm not doing that. If you look at 64, I'm not conducting 65, even though it looks like I should, that way. Because that's the part where the band struggles to stay together, and I want them to have as clear time as possible going through that. So
say that again at 63, 64, what do you do?
65, I'm not conducting 65 with 2 beats. I'm conducting it with 3. Because that's a piece where the band struggles. If we were really good at it, I would, but we were not right now. So I'm giving them a straight tempo so they can.
Because you're actually going into 3/4 in the second measure.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to keep them as close to on time as possible.
And you know what happens too in our business is you'll get some down the nose doctorate from XYZ University who's back there on the judging panel and might scold the conductor for doing that in 6/8. Well, you know what? They don't get it.
And they don't understand what's best for my kids.
They don't.
So.
And that makes perfect sense, you know. And somebody that's bound to do this in 5/4 is not going to be helping them. You know, that's where the accents are. You know, it takes on a 6/8 2/4 pattern, And that's what you need to do to get them through it.
And what a great teaching moment here for counting as well, to understand that we can count things different ways.
Yeah.
It's almost like in harmonics and scales, you know, there's different ways to count things as well. So why not count it the way it's supposed to be felt in the style, than counting it the way that it's, the composer put it in time signature.
Yeah, if you don't mind, with all that in mind, I'd just like to have, I'd like for you to take it if you would. Is 31 a good place to start? It looks like it is to me, just to kind of get running through that 3-4 part in 38, and then get over to the part you're talking about in, what was it, 65, 6, 7? Where it actually is in 3-4. Can everybody see a score? You guys see the score? Everybody score?
Okay, everybody ready? And after this, I'm gonna let them go, and then I'll hang out for a little while. Is that okay?
We're done.
Okay. that sounds
We're
good.
just,
Right, is this 31?
31 people need a break too, I can tell.
31, here we go.
31. Yeah,
Still working.
good, Ron. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your summer.
I'll see you on July 18th, March Band. I mean, Miss Lipman needs your music. She's right back there.
Thank you, Ms. Lippman.